My name's Aaron Massey, and a few weeks ago I made a video outlining the differences between a planer and a jointer and why these two tools are essential for creating flat, straight boards to work with when it comes to woodworking. So I highly recommend you check out that video, and I'll place a link to it in the description down below. But today I'm going to show you how you can get similar results to a jointer by making a simple sled that you can utilize in your planer and on your table saw. It's a pretty simple and easy project, so let's just jump right into it. As I mentioned in my previous video, having straight, flat lumber to work with is a lot easier to deal with for your woodworking projects, but almost all lumber has some kind of movement to it. There are two types of jointing. There's face jointing, which means flattening the face or the width of the board, and edge jointing, which means flattening the edge so that it's square with the flat face. What's cool about this sled is you can do both, but we'll start by tackling the face jointing with the planer first. To get started, first I measured the width of my planer deck, which is 13 inches, and then I ripped a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood on the table saw to slightly less than that 13 inches. I'm using some pretty nice plywood for this that's left over from a project, but what really matters is that whatever you use is nice and flat. Now this sled is about 42 inches long, which is plenty long for most material I work with. I wouldn't go much longer than that because it could flex as it's being fed through the machine. From there, I glue on a thin strip to one end of the sled that will act as a stop later on. Next, I'm gonna add a few strips of this T-track I picked up from Rockler Woodworking for about 18 bucks. I'll have a link to all the parts and materials I use for this project in the description down below. Using my router and a 3/4 inch router bit, I routed a few dados across the piece of plywood. Now where you put them isn't really essential, but one towards the front and one towards the back is plenty. Then I cut the T-track just short of the width of the sled and inset it into the plywood. Next, I cut a bunch of strips of sandpaper and adhered it to the sled with some spray adhesive. I cut the sandpaper into strips just because I didn't have enough full sheets to cover the sled, and it's just to add some grip and resistance to help keep the board from sliding around on the sled. The other thing I use to help secure the board in place are these inline stops from Rockler for the T-track. I like these because they're low profile, so you can use them on fairly thin wood before you have to worry about the planer hitting them as the sled is fed through. These will just help to keep the board from sliding side to side. And lastly, with the board on the sled, you'll need to add shims. The key to this working properly is that you allow the board to sit in its natural position and you shim underneath the gaps so that as the feed rollers push down on the board, it can't move, and the planer will be able to flatten the top side of the board. Think of it like an upside down jointer. From there, you can feed the board through the planer a few times with that stop strip we glued on at the beginning towards the front, until you have a flat face on the top side. Once the top is flat, you can flip the board over and feed it through the planer again as many times as you need to get the desired thickness that you want. So now you have a flat board, so that's it for the face jointing portion of this sled. Next, we'll focus on how you can use it to edge joint and make the edges of the board square now that it's flat. The only real difference in this case is that I use a different type of hold down clamp from Rockler to keep the board in place. You can simply adjust the board to get it where you want to remove as minimal amount of material as possible, clamp it down, and then run it through the table saw. Once one edge of the board is square, you can remove the sled, flip the board over, and run it through the saw again to square up the other side. So now you have a board that is flat, straight, and square. Well, that's it for this project. That's how you can make a simple and relatively cheap sled for your planer and your table saw that allows you to take rough sawn lumber and turn it into wood that you can work with and make some really beautiful things with. If you guys like this video, please hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Also, make sure you stick around. I'll be showing you how I used this and my previous video to create some solid walnut floating shelves. That video will be coming up next week, so make sure you stick around for that. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any upcoming videos. And if you want to check out any more of my DIY woodworking or home improvement related content, you can always visit my website at mrfixitdiy.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.